Today we are back in Nezuko. You guys seem to really like her in my first video I did, so why not bring her back? You guys obviously like the info about the 8th gen, which I think is great, because there really isn't that much info on the 8th gens anymore, so I think that's great. So yeah, let's do another video. This will be kind of a warning video, not even a warning video, just this will be the top 5 things I hate about my SI. Just so you know, if you hear these things, you're like, I don't know. But I'm gonna do a little disclaimer. If this scares you from getting the SI, then maybe you shouldn't get an SI, just because these aren't that big of problems. Just a little disclaimer. I love this car to death. It was kind of hard to find 5 things I didn't like about it, period. Because I really like this car. I think there's 2 things, and I will make that clear, on things I actually don't super enjoy. The other things were kind of nitpicky, and I had to pick out to get to the 5 things. There's 2 things that I really don't like. One's fixable, one's not, but we'll get to that a little later. A little disclaimer, this is my 2009, if you weren't there for my first video, this is my 2009 Honda Civic SI. It's the FA5, it's the 4-door, it's the sedan, and it's completely stock other than like a couple tiny things. Like it has an Exetti clutch, and it has a rear torque mount to keep the motor from moving so much, and that's it. I mean, it has like visors and red badges, and you know, red badges do add 50 horsepower, so I really should disclaim that it does have these red badges, because you know, I don't want to lie to you guys. Red badges do add 50 horsepower, so beware of that. But let's just hop into number 1 here. So number 1 is the doors have the 350 G35 automatic closing syndrome, that I like to call it. They like to just close on their own. It's pretty obnoxious, honestly. Unless you're on like a steep incline and you're getting in your car, these doors will decide to just shut on you. Pretty obnoxious. Yeah. So what I like to do is, I actually showed it in that first clip. Get in, hop in the car as soon as possible, and let it shut behind you. That's one of your options. You got open it, hop in as soon as you can, and let the door shut behind you, kind of like it's being courteous, and it's like opening and shutting the door for you. Thank you, car. Or you could keep it open, and it's really awkward. Like, I've tried that. It's a little weird. It's whatever. Like, trying to keep it open from hitting you as you get into your car. It works. It's just a little strange feeling. Or you could just be a true hero, and you could open the door, take your time to sit down, and let it eat your ankles. So like I said, it's not a G35 door or a 350 door where it like will cut off your foot if it actually does hit your ankle, because it's a Honda door, and let's be fair, it might not do anything in terms of a crash. So, and not like it hurts, it's just kind of annoying. Like, no one wants to get their foot caught just trying to get into their damn car, and especially something that, you know, you're doing quite a bit. You're getting in and out of your car, you know, a lot. So it's whatever. Again, pretty pet peeve thing, but yeah. And I thought I should disclaimer, guys, I've only had this car for about a month, but I do drive my cars a lot. I've driven it 2,000 miles in a month, and I've driven it basically every day in that month. So it's like I've gotten a good feel for the car now, you know what I mean? I've driven Honda since I've had my license, and that's all I've owned except one Mazda. So I know Hondas pretty well, so I feel I am good to do this. So let's get into number 2. Alright, so number 2, we got oil consumption. I talked about this a little bit on my review, but again, I'm gonna speak for people that have not seen the video. Oil consumption. So this is the flip of a coin when you get one of these cars. Oil consumption is something that plagued these cars for quite some time, and they still do. You may get one of these and you may have oil consumption like me, where it's pretty steady, and you might want to keep some oil in your car at all times. Or you might get like my buddy had, where he had no oil consumption for the entire time he had the car. You can keep the oil in at full for the entire 5,000 miles and then replace it, and he hit that car hard a lot. So it's a flip of a coin. Depends on how the person, it probably depends on how the person drove the car in the first couple hundred miles of its break-it period, how it was taken care of before you had it, etc. Or just the engine itself just wanted to burn more oil. Because if you aren't aware, the 8th Gen SI came with the 2-liter K series, the K20 Z3. I did not say that. Yeah, they made it. These motors rev to 8,100 RPM stock, you know, and you can make them go farther when you get on data and do some simple mods to the head. But they made the pistons with a different material as normal to keep low friction on those higher RPMs, so that you can hit 8,100 RPM quite often without just causing too much friction and damaging the block, damaging the sleeves. So they made low friction pistons for it. Quite a good idea, but because of those low friction pistons, it would tend to burn a little bit more oil, which is a trade-off I'm willing to have. You know, I'd rather have a little bit of burning oil rather than having a car go boom on me, because I actually used it the way it is. You know, these motors don't have torque. Like, they are very gutless cars. So having all that power in the last 3,000 RPMs is really important. So yeah, if you couldn't use that last 3,000 RPMs, that'd be a little stupid, you know what I mean? So that's number 2. I did want to just put that out there. The oil consumption is a problem sometimes, but as long as you're not going through it like crazy, you know, it's a normal thing. So I just wanted to put that out there for people that didn't know. Oil consumption for these, pretty normal. It happens. As long as you don't smell it like crazy, you don't see it coming out the exhaust, you should be good, unless it's just eating it. So just be warned, but that is a problem the K20 Z3 has. So that's cool. Let's get on to number 3. All right, coming at number 3, we got another pet peeve. The next 2 will be better, promise. Gas mileage. It's not great. I'll tell you that now. It's really not good, especially for Honda. But really, I've come from again, Hondas, like D-Series single cam motors my entire life, and those things I always got high, like mid to high to low 30s and 40s. They were insane. And then I swapped my GSR into my other Civic, and then I ended up getting like 28 to 29 miles a gallon, which I thought was bad. And then, you know, she decided to like basically blow up on me, and then I ended up getting this car, which gets worse gas mileage still. But yeah, she gets 20 city, 29 highway. And yes, I do a lot of highway, but I do some city at the end of my drive when I get closer to, you know, work. And so my average, I got average of 25 at the pump yesterday. I got about 200 and I think it was like 215 miles to a tank. But I still had I had a little less than a quarter left. And it cost me quite a bit to fill up, because again, I use premium, you know. This car is, you know, a sports car. It's not a fast sports car, but it's a sports car. And the power's, again, in the last 3,000 RPMs. So, you know, when you're in the power, you're in that. And to to not risk like pre-combustion and knocking with bad gas, I always get premium. It's because I don't trust the regular gas, especially right now with the prices and the bad quality of gas. Premium is the only thing I put in here, so it gets pretty expensive. But I honestly gotta say, this concern is more of a problem with how the gas prices are and just how nutty the world is right now than the car just having bad gas mileage. Because I mean, 25 is pretty average for a sporty car, you know what I mean? So, you know, but you got to take in consideration that like the new Coyote and the 5.0, the new Coyote and the Mustang GTs, they're getting an average of 25. So, you know, you could have 197 horsepower or like 450 at the same gas mileage. I don't know, that's a little funky, but no, of course, when you're on the gas, the Mustang's using more, but that's not the argument here. I'm just saying the gas mileage, little poopy, you know? If you thought since, well, it's a Honda Civic, I'm gonna get good gas mileage, you're gonna be in for a fun ride, because that's not true. Not true at all. So with that, let's get into number 4 and one of my actual complaints here. Like, one of my main complaints, things I actually complain about with this car, which isn't very often, I gotta say. Alright guys, coming number 4, we got under the hood, working under the hood. Not the engine, but working under there. Man, that's a pain in the ass, I gotta tell you. And I'll tell you why. I will tell you why. It's not the fact that it's a K series, working on a K series. Sure, it could be a little more complicated than maybe a D series or a B, but it's not too difficult. It's the fact of the matter of the engine bay itself with this car. So, with the design, with this huge windshield that swoops all the way down, goes all the way over there where like I can't even reach it, you know? That's a good foot more than what I got for space. And then the dash, again, goes with the windshield, goes super far forward. And because it's so far forward, they weren't gonna put a big hood up front too, and a big front end, so the car's sticking out like 10 feet in front of you. So they decided that they were gonna have the windshield and the dash kind of go over the motor. So when you open the hood, which is really small, the motor looks like it's super far back, which it is, but the motor isn't really that far back. It's still sitting on top of the axles. It's still in the same spot as all Hondas were. It's just the fact of the dash and the windscreen and all of that just hover over it. So in order to do basically anything, and the motor is rotated 180 degrees, so the intake manifold is pointing towards you, and that's the first thing you see, instead of older Hondas like where it's the header that you see first, right? And the manifold's in the back. That's flipped over in this car. And yeah, even to get the valve cover off, like I have new gaskets, I got new spark plugs, I got Honda Bond, and I'm going to be doing my valve lash, because they're supposed to do valve lash. Let me wait. Alright, they're supposed to do valve lash every 30,000 miles. I don't know if this car was done every 30,000 miles, so I'm going to make sure it's done right. So I'm going to do it. But even to get the valve cover off, you have to take off the whole entire dash up front. Take that completely off. It's not that it's the worst thing ever. It's not like it's a 300Z engine bay. Bless their souls who owns one of those. But it's pretty annoying, especially coming from the world of Honda, where you've always had just so much room to do stuff. And it was so easy. It's kind of not that way anymore. It's pretty tight, pretty annoying. Everything's kind of in your way. The ECU's up there. The stock airbox is huge. Once you get a cold air intake, you can really clear some space, and the battery gets relocated farther down, and you can get some space. But it's just pretty annoying. It's the typical like newer car, to where like if you want to work on anything, you have to take off everything kind of deal. But I mean, good job on the design, Honda. Like, you know they did it so that people wouldn't want to work on it themselves and take it to Honda. But so good job. I bet it worked, because I certainly tell you what, I don't want to do the valve adjustment, but I'm gonna. So here we are. Woo! So let's get into number 5. That's the problem that number 4 here. The engine bay is a problem that can't be fixed. When I said like the last 2, one can be fixed, one can't. This cannot be fixed. Like, really. I mean, there's some small things. Like, I can get a cold air intake, and I could get some deletes in some places, relocate some stuff. But I mean, really, the motor's in there a certain way, and things are there, and the windshield comes down on top of the motor, so it's really just how it is. So let's get into number 5, shall we? Going in at number 5, and our last one to wrap these things up is the rev hang. And I talked about this in my review, but it is truly ridiculous. The rev hang is honestly ass. It's really bad. I don't get it, man. Like, I've had some theories on why. It's just not good. It's a full like second of the revs keeping up. And if you don't know what rev hang is, I'll show you. Watch the RPMs here. See how it stayed up for a second and then it went down, and that wasn't even that bad. It's way worse when you're up in those really high RPMs pushing the car, and then you end up shifting pretty hard to the next gear. It's so bad. I swear sometimes it's a full 2 to 3 seconds when, you know, in reality it's not. But it's ridiculous. So you either have to dump the clutch, shifting into a normal gear, and just kill the clutch. I feel bad every time. Or you need to wait the entire 2 seconds or so to shift into your next gear, which is ridiculous. And again, this is a problem that can be fixed, and I will fix it. It's a problem. It's a thing in the ECU. It's called a throttle overrun. And because this car is not, you know, it's not using throttle cable like all my other cars in the past, and it is electronic, and so the computer controls that, and they have something called a throttle overrun. And whenever you're going to the next gear, you're jamming next gear, or you're just doing a normal one, doesn't matter. Right when you put it, say you're at 8,000 RPM and you're going into 4th gear, or no, let's say we're going into 2nd to 3rd, which, you know, is a vital shift. You know, you need to get this shift, especially if you're doing a 0 to 60 or something. You need to get it. And then let's say you don't want to bang on your clutch, so you're trying to get a 0 to 60, which is what, like 5.5 seconds, 6 seconds. Let's say 6 seconds. So you're gonna get 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. If you can bam, bam, bam in the 3rd gear, right? But let's say you don't want to dump the clutch, and you want to like wait till the rev hang is done its thing. So you're gonna get to 1 to 2, which honestly isn't too bad with the rev hang, because, well, there's no way around it. Like, you're slamming it into that gear, you gotta do it. But then here you come on 3rd gear, and then right when you get off that gas, put in that clutch, and then go into the 3rd gear, the computer tells the throttle body to not close all the way. It's slightly cracked, just a tad bit, to keep that rev hang up there. And then in about probably what, a couple milliseconds, but it feels like forever, then it'll decide to close all the way, letting the revs to fall down. And that's such devastation to your time. So if you're trying to do it quickly, that 0 to 60 instead of 60 seconds, you're going to 3rd gear, you're waiting for the rev hang to fall, will probably fall to 63, 64 seconds, because you're waiting for the damn rev hang. Which, what did I say? 64 seconds? That's not what I'm saying. 6.3 seconds, 6.4 seconds. You know, instead of that 6 seconds 0 to 60, you're getting like probably half a second more, which is huge. And again, so you can tune it out, thankfully. Here's some Honda Data Flash Pro, which is hopefully what I'll be getting soon. I just got to do some things. I got to fix some body work. I got to get a new windshield, and I'll be getting some Honda data. Yeah, I might need new brakes though for that. But yeah, get Honda data. You make sure you go over there, you turn off throttle overrun, and voila, there you go. I know a lot of Type S owners, like the early Type S motors with the K20A2, that have complained about this motor feeling sluggish and non-responsive. Well, and that comes down to what I just was talking about. Their K20 came with a throttle cable, which is not fair, but theirs came with a throttle cable. Again, ours is electronic, so that's why. If you do have a buddy that says that, you'll get Honda data, get it tuned out, and guaranteed it'll be more responsive, more peppy. So yeah, there you go, guys. That's my top 5 things that I hate about my SI. And again, I don't hate my SI. In fact, I really love my SI. I just really had to find those things that I didn't like, because I really just like this car a lot. If you're thinking about buying one, do it. Go watch my review. I feel it's pretty informative. I feel like I did pretty good, maybe. But yeah, stay tuned. I'll probably get some more POV videos of me driving Nezuko around. And especially when I get some mods going. Maybe, do you guys want to see some body work, like when I paint the fender, put the fender on, because I have a gray one over here. You want to see that stuff, or what? I know when I get new mods, I'm gonna show you guys, like when I get Honda data, I'll show the tune that the little bass map I do, and the little changes I make. When I get an exhaust, all that. So stay tuned. Let me know if you want to see a top 5 things I love about my SI. That would be fun. Having some positivity going instead of negativity all the time would be awesome. So yeah, dudes, stay tuned. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.